The Star Wars Power of the Force Collection. Darth Vader leads an evil empire towards universal domination. Join a brave rebellion with Luke Skywalker, Han Solo and Chewbacca, and Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi. Can you stop the Empire? Star Wars Power of the Force Collection from Kenner.
You're watching Star Wars Day with Pops.
What are you guys doing?
Now you can feel like a Jedi with new Go-Gurt glow-in-the-dark lightsaber tubes. There's 16 different tubes for a limited time only.
Mom's gonna be back in 30 minutes.
Cool. 30 minutes.
Star Wars Attack of the Clones in theaters May 16th. You can grab Go-Gurt and go.
I was very young when Star Wars came out. My memory is, full of holes, Swiss cheese, from that age. I don't remember seeing the trailer for the movie. I don't even remember asking my mom or begging her to take us to go watch it. I just remember being at the theater and staring at the screen when the music starts. And that giant Star Wars logo comes flying out into space, and the opening crawls, just starts going up. Now, being that young, I was not the best reader in the world, so I may have understood about a third, none of it. For the longest time, I thought Leia's ship was called the Custodian. Believe me, I caught flack for that later on. From that day, I don't remember the entire movie. Just key scenes that stood out in my mind. Oh, and the part where I went to the bathroom by myself only to come back and find different people sitting in our seats. It's fine. I'm fine. I wasn't traumatized at all. After finding my family in one of the many other screens and, getting over the thought I was abandoned like Joe Dirt, we went on to finish the movie. It was an amazing experience. I remember the first ignition of Luke's lightsaber. It absolutely blew my mind. The jailbreak and trash compactor scene, the escape battle with the TIE fighters. Oh, and the trench run. Just key moments that grabbed a hold and never let go. I can honestly say that movie was the spark that lit the fire for my love of science fiction and most things nerdy.
All right, folks, Star Wars Day is rolling on, and now we're going to talk to this guy. That's right, Joker Voice is in the house. We're going to talk about some animation, talk about Clone Wars love. How could we can't skip past it. We got to find somebody who's really, I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert. I love what I've watched, but I can't even tell you that I've watched all of it in order. It's probably one of those things that needs to go on the list of things for Pops to do and get to, is to do a rewatch from the beginning in order. We'll get there. Batman's got a lot of episodes, so I'm probably not it's going to be a minute for me to have a free day. But listen, Joker, thanks for hanging out with me. Happy Star Wars Day to you, my friend.
Happy Star Wars Day to you. Happy real Star Wars Day.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to make a feud with folks who want to do May the 4th too. I have no problem doing so. I did actually, this started because I did Revenge of the Sith review on May 4th and just really thought about how much a lot of responses where people just don't know about some of our love of these things and why and kind of how it evolved. So let's jump right to the beginning of Clone Wars and your love of animation and kind of how that all kind of comes together for you.
Okay. So the Clone Wars is set in the prequel era. And one big complaint about the prequel era is you've got massive time jumps. From Phantom to Clones is 10 years, and then from Clones to Sith is 3 years. Well, the Clone Wars fills in this 3-year gap. So we have this is right after the clones are introduced into the galaxy. Anakin, due due to the number of Jedi that were killed on Geonosis has been promoted to the rank of Jedi Knight. He is still hiding his marriage to Padme, and he's moving through the ranks. He's excelling as a general, as a Jedi as well. He now leads his own group of clones called, they're referred to as the 501st. And just when Anakin thinks his life is going smoothly as the way he would like it to, Yoda decides to throw a curveball at him and give him a student. He doesn't want a student. It was actually Obi-Wan who requested another student. So then we are introduced to Ahsoka Tano, and for the remainder of the series, it really got, with the exception of a few lesser arcs and some droid filler episodes, this show is really about the relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka and how their friendship grows and how it makes Anakin into a better Jedi. And
let me ask a question real quick, so I'll make sure people understand the timeline. So the film comes out in 2008.
Correct.
And the show is sort of a spin-off from the film. It was planned, but it was a spin-off from the film.
Correct.
So you can watch the film first and then go right into the series. Season 1 doesn't have any like subtitles or anything like that. It's Clone Wars the movie, Clone Wars season 1, then it kind of moves forward to there. And I'm really glad that you pointed out how much the show cements Anakin's growth by having Ahsoka. And for someone who didn't care for Ahsoka in the very beginning, I just kind of like
a lot of folks didn't.
It took a minute. It took a minute to get, and I will admit, one of the problems I had was like, now you got someone else you have to kill off, because I'm just obsessed with what the original lore kind of set up of like, there's just one, we have just this. So it was hard for me to like, why are we going through all this trouble to just have something else to deal with? And in hindsight, I see a very similar analogy, completely less irritating, as I do with Jubilee on the X-Men show, where Jubilee is used as a mechanism in the storytelling. Jubilee's not really a character on X-Men. She's just your exposition dump for your audience or for your kids or whatever. And Ahsoka is a tool for us to see Anakin grow and change him and challenge him and move things along with the dynamic. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to kind of at least let people, because some people may not know, go ahead and watch the film first, now jump in the series, and then kind of go from there.
Right. And there are two pivotal moments for, at least for me, in the series and how it affects Anakin. And one is at the end of season 5, where there's a bombing at the Jedi Temple, and Ahsoka is falsely accused of being the terrorist. So Anakin's the only one who believes her, and he is the one who breaks all the rules and stops at nothing to prove her innocence, which he does. And all the while, he's getting more and more frustrated with the Jedi Order, that they're just willing to just throw her away. And when she's finally cleared of all charges, and this just also shows just how detached the Jedi were at this time, when they're like, oh, well, these were your trials. You are now a Jedi. You are now a Jedi Knight. And Ahsoka basically just says no and turns her back and walks away. And this crushes Anakin, because and it just furthers his anger just brewing inside. And then the final,
she actually leaves the Jedi, right? And that kind of
yes,
how it ends that season. That season kind of ends with her leaving the Jedi
yes,
Order. Is that the appropriate terminology?
yes,
Jedi Order. Yeah.
and and Anakin's like, you can't leave. I need you. And she said,
Mm.
I know, but I can't. And
Mm.
and it's the final image is her just walking away, and
Wow.
Anakin is just, phew.
Mm.
And then the final, the last 4 episodes is the Siege of Mandalore, and this is a great spot because we are actually crossing into Revenge of the Sith. There are lines being said. There are events that are happening that are with the film. It picks up where Obi-Wan and Anakin have just finished a battle. They get called back to their capital ship, and because they received the message, and it's Ahsoka, and Anakin's eyes just light up because he hasn't seen her in probably at least a year.
Mm.
So
Okay.
so then they are reunited because there is a problem on Mandalore where Darth Maul has been found, and this is their best chance to capture him, to find out about all the doings of the Sith. So, unfortunately, Ahsoka is no longer a member of the Jedi. Thus, then she's no longer a member of the army of the Republic. So to make this work, Anakin kind of bends a rule again, and he promotes Captain Rex to commander, and Ahsoka then can join him as an advisor.
Mm.
So, and while they're prepping for that mission, Anakin's walking with Ahsoka, and he has a surprise for her. Well, he had splintered off a group from the 501st that all knew Ahsoka, and they all had their helmets painted like orange and had her markings. And I remember when they were showing this, they showed it at a con, and Ashley Eckstein was on the panel, and she hadn't seen the scene yet. And when the doors open and there are the clones with their helmets painted, she lost it, and just tears were just flowing. Like,
Wow.
Yeah. And events play out, and then long story short, they capture Maul, and they're headed back to Coruscant. And all of a sudden, Ahsoka hears a disturbance in the Force, and it's the fight going on in the Chancellor's office, and then you hear Anakin cutting off Mace's arm, and Ahsoka, feeling Anakin's pain, has to step back and just holding her head, and then you hear Anakin say, "What have I done?" And it's, the tension is just ramped because now it's like, whoa,
right?
And so Ahsoka goes to tell Rex what she felt, and Rex is looking at a holosphere, and you hear execute Order 66.
Right. So this is considered the final season, right? And I don't want to get to spoilers for folks, but this is the the events line up with what's happening in Revenge of the Sith, as Joker's explaining there. So you get that. And what I think it does is it really explains a lot of the reasons why people really love the lore of Star Wars and the canon, and how intricately everything has been sort of like pieced together for years, all the way back from the very beginning, all the way through to this season, which was 2020. This isn't like for a long time ago.
No.
And it seemed like so much of this stuff was done so well. And we were adding new characters and adding new deaths, but always trying to maintain this backbone to it. So, folks, if you have never watched Clone Wars or wanted to get into it, watch that movie first and then go through those seasons and kind of get a feel for that. Now, of course, we're going to have an Ahsoka TV show, and kind of is, I mean, obviously I don't want to, is Ahsoka your favorite character on the show?
I'm gonna reserve my comments for that. I'm
Okay.
gonna wait.
That's fine.
On that.
Nice.
But Ahsoka started off as a character that no one liked, and over time became just a beloved character. And so Ahsoka, she escapes Order 66, and there's a debate of whether she should have died there or died in Rebels. That's for another time. But the story ends with the capital ship crashing, and Ahsoka and Rex have escaped in a Y-wing. And one thing that she had learned from Anakin was respect for the clones. Pretty much the entire galaxy viewed them as disposable. Anakin knew every clone that was under his command. He knew them all by name, and they weren't numbers to him. They all had names. So you get this image of this crashed capital ship in a lone Y-wing, and Rex is walking back, and he's holding a shovel, and then it pans over, and Ahsoka's in her hood, and there's just mass graves with pikes and the helmet of each clone on a pike to give them the respect of a warrior, of a soldier. And then that kind of fades out, and then we have a time jump, like immediately. It's probably a good 10-year time jump, because then we see a Lambda class shuttle landing, and this planet that they're on is a snow planet, and because you see the snow troopers, you see the Viper droids, and then you hear
Should we spoil what he finds? Should we spoil that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We should. Well, because it's so, because what he finds and what he does is really important. And then you see Darth Vader in Clone War animation, and I'm losing it at this point. I'm just like, and then we see the big capital ship, the remains of it, and he looks down and he brushes the snow away, and he sees one of Ahsoka's sabers, which she had dropped. And he ignites it. Wow. Yeah. And then he hears something in the air, and he looks up, and there's a convor. It's like an owl type bird, which is significant to him because way back in season 3, Ahsoka died, and the living embodiment of the light side of the Force saved her life, and then became this avatar. Basically, this convor owl is the symbol of her. And so Anakin's looking up, and then the shot comes back to Anakin's face or Vader's face at this point, but you can see through the red lens, and you can see Anakin's eye, and whew, and so then he turns off the saber, and he keeps it. And the reason why he keeps it, at least this is my head canon here, and the reason that we saw the reason that we specifically saw Anakin's eye is there's now a monster. It's the machinery, metal, cybernetics, the breath screen. It's still Anakin inside, and Anakin's biggest strength and his biggest weakness is attachment, which is why he keeps her saber. And it's that little bit of Anakin that's still inside this monster that Luke, years later,
years later we'll tap into. Yep.
And that's what Luke is. That's what Luke is fighting to save. Is that just that bit of the man that is left in there?
What did it mean to you to have a decade of this show filling in the gap in between live action?
This actually filled in the gaps fairly well, but it left enough to where you could still head canon stuff. So it wasn't this happened this minute. So you get every single detail, and I think that's something that we've lost in current entertainment, where we want everything explained.
Is it what was it like seeing their approach to the clones, not just having some changes to uniforms, also with having names, things like that? I thought that was one of the more interesting elements to the show was we're going to, because it was really set up as just being clones and interchangeable, disposable stormtrooper type characters. And then immediately one of the cool things about the show was, no, you're going to get attached to Rex. You're going to get attached to Cody. You're going to get,
Fives.
you're going to be, you're going to have, you're going to have some that you're going to like let attach to you. Was that kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say weird because in hindsight it's not weird, but at the time I thought, that's, I don't want to say interesting. Maybe that's the best way I should say. Oh, that's an interesting choice. I didn't see that coming was basically another way to look at it.
I mean, in retrospect, it makes sense because it was called the Clone Wars. So
sure.
Definitely having the clones as a living, breathing part of this world would be a appropriate thing to do.
Is it going to be weird for the normies to try to figure out why Darth Maul is around?
Gonna suspend some disbelief a little bit, but just a wee bit.
Yeah. How many of these performance artists have you met?
From the Clone Wars, I have not met any yet. I was at a con in Salt Lake, and Ashley was there, but her queue line was like an hour and a half long, and I'm like I came to a con. I didn't come to Disneyland, and I don't want to wait an hour and a half to then spend the money where I have to buy something.
Sure. I got you.
Yeah.
I understand. I don't know if I can I whittle it down to like a favorite episode, or is that kind of what you were describing when you were getting kind of into the emotional space of the impact of those?
The very last episode is my favorite episode by far.
Yeah.
And and then just the way it ends when Vader turns and walks away. There's a lone clone helmet, and you see Vader's Vader's reflection as he's walking away. It's covered in snow, it's soot, it's dirty, it's broken, and then cut to black. And it's just a major gut punch. Just like, oh wow, that's a tragic ending. But this story really didn't have a happy ending. It ended on a sour note. It is a tragedy, but it was done just beautifully.
What did you think about or you have thoughts on like the first Clone Wars, the 2003 Clone Wars, where we had like little what are they like less than 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So just a few.
Yeah, the shorts. They are fun. That was done by Gendy Tartakovsky, who does the Adult Swim series Primal as well. That's the first time we saw General Grievous, who was just boss mode. He was ridiculous and terrifying. And that ended with the attack on Coruscant, where Shakti is supposed to be defending the Emperor, and she and the Emperor get captured and taken to Grievous's ship, and then that's where Sith kind of picks up from there as well.
Gotcha. I actually have to be honest. I remember watching the show and just enjoyed having Star Wars. I just got all right. Cool. It's what we got now, right? But it's the episode. I think it's the very first time we see Mace Windu, and we have him sort of like drop down and create like the impact crater of how powerful he can be, and you're just like, oh, this is next level stuff. This is like stuff. This is that little kid brain coming to life. Like, whoa. Now I had little boys at this time too. So I'm like, oh yeah, boys, we're not missing this. We're not missing this show. So yeah, we're going to watch this together. So yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. I would love to see the lore grow out from this in some positive ways and positive directions, and people to find it as their gateway and things like that. And I know people that are younger than us are coming in at Star Wars in different ways. So it'll be interesting to see if we hear from some folks that are, came to Star Wars via Clone Wars or something like that, which is hard for us, the OG, to kind of keep in mind sometimes, but that is true. That does happen as well. So, all right. So cool. Is any other thoughts you have on Clone Wars or some other animation that they've done where you're just like,
I want to keep it in the headspace that I have it in.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. No, I understand. I think that's what the important thing for the day is find those moments to speak positive about, really enjoy, spin our wheels there too, and just have some fun. Try to track down some Clone War TV show commercials. Maybe we'll see what we can find and dig up. I know we have toys, so there's always toys. So, but folks, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying Star Wars Day. Love to hear from you. Keep those comments coming. Thank you so much. Check the description and stuff to connect to this guy for all of his content, reviews, etc. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me. Happy Star Wars Day to you. I am Pops.
It's the Star Wars X-Wing Aces target game.
Instruments check. Attack! Attack! TIE fighters, get him, Luke! Nice going, Donnie! Good shot, kid! You got him! Good score, kid! TIE's right out! The Force move! Use the Force! I'm an ace! Don't get cocky, Ace. It's my turn!
The Star Wars X-Wing Aces target game. New from Kenner's Star Wars collection.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Everyone, we've got to save the Queen!
We're under attack! Misa Jar Jar Binks come for comic relief.
Emergency landing on Tatooine.
No! Pod racing is whiz. Love you, Mom.
I love you, Padme. Oh no, Darth Maul! My brains are spilling out!
Oh, joy, Vind.
This is the weirdest date I've ever been on. I'm out of here.
Go you must.
Farewell. Bye-bye.
Star Wars Episode 1 cans collect all 24 this summer.
A new movie, the third in the Star Wars series, opens on Wednesday. And when it opens in Hollywood, some will have been waiting in line for more than a week.
In fact, it won't open for 2 more days, but already the lines are down the block.
Most people you consider bad are on our side. It's like the Force is with us.
The Force is with them occasionally, the police force that is, but for the most part they've gone unmolested. This morning, the Jedi faithful dedicated a makeshift star in honor of Star Wars creator George Lucas. Judd Rose, ABC News, Hollywood.
Okay, so after the summer, that I had first seen the first Star Wars, go back to school in September, and all the kids are, talking about Star Wars and everything. And at the time, there were no toys out yet, so we were running around with wiffle bats as lightsabers and so forth. So it was that Christmas that we were looking forward to the toys. And you got to remember now, this was in the days before there was an internet, before, we had ways of, finding out from the companies and from the community how things were being released, where they were going to be released, distribution models, stuff like that. We just have to keep going to the toy store, going to the department store and looking and hoping and waiting. So I completely missed out on that whole early bird thing. There's a lot of videos about that. They didn't have the toys out for Christmas. So parents were going and getting a little certificate, with the card thing and whatnot. And it'd be like, okay, this is what you're gonna get in a couple months, the action figures. So I didn't get those. So I also never had the telescoping lightsaber. But when they did finally hit the mainline toy stores, I guess it was like February after Christmas, I got those original 12, and Mom went through and helped me make sure I got one of each. So I got all of the original, was it 12 back of figures? And on the back, this was before they were taking like photographs and putting it was like paintings of, because they had to get the cards put together as they were putting the toys into production. So they showed Luke Skywalker with the extending lightsaber, but none of the toys had those. So yeah, I was in on the toys right from the beginning. First vehicle was the land speeder. Then I got the X-Wing, and they came out big and fast. So, you kind of had to economize what you asked for. And the big, Hail Mary was that Death Star playset, which I did get the following Christmas. It was like a joint gift. My mom and my grandmother went in together on it because that thing was expensive. But yeah, that's where it started. And, I'm still tapping the vein to this day.